the previous design of Warren Avenue was there was a sump condition in this location at Auto Mall Boulevard. A sump condition would be a low spot where water would accumulate.
Is that where the traffic signal is going to go? Yep.
I'm not sure.
Okay, because I'm just thinking that, well, go ahead.
So what was done with this project as part of the Warren Road improvements was to extend a 30-inch storm drain from Auto Mall Boulevard to Auto Mall Avenue. And at this location, there's currently a 54-inch storm drain that it would tie into. But that would alleviate what otherwise we would have ponding here at this intersection.
Okay, because I don't know what I was envisioning, but I was envisioning water going across and feeding those wonderful little
That's what often happens in Hemet.
fairy shrimp that are over there, and I just assumed it.
West of Warren Avenue, or Warren Road, are a number of vernal pools that the Riverside Conservation Agency and Fish and Wildlife have been very concerned about.
Yes, and you know, those little critters were only found because a tractor drove through the field. So, you know, if it hadn't been worked, they'd never found those little guys. So it will just continue going southbound.
Correct.
Down to that area.
You know, again, that daylights in, the 54-inch drain daylights into a detention basin south and west of here. That's, again, a temporary facility. The problem that we have in the city is our master plan of storm drain is very lacking in completion. So we continue to do a number of temporary resolutions to that. And this is a case where if we didn't have them put in the storm drain, we'd have standing water accumulating at that intersection all the time.
I agree. We have a number of those areas, and if we can alleviate some of them, I would say that's probably in our best interest to do that. So thank you for those answers.
I'm having flashbacks to Planning Commission.
I bet you are.
So the applicant has had to do the curbside improvements from the property line at the north edge all the way to Whittier?
Correct.
And they have to pay tump fees?
Well, that's what we've been discussing with WRCOG. WRCOG has agreed in principle to give them credits for the tump fees that would actually slightly exceed the cost of the improvements that the property owner could use for future development. But WRCOG has agreed to that in principle. We need to complete the actual paperwork and have that approved by you and then submitted to WRCOG.
So I'm in favor of reducing costs to somebody, especially that is being conditioned to do the street side improvements and then has to pay a fee for future transportation improvements.
The improvements are actually related to the parcel map. So Don McCoy owns all 4 of those parcels that extend down to Whittier Avenue, and the condition on the parcel map was to improve that roadway.
Well, and I understand that, but I think that it's not, I think that might be like more of a government overreach on making somebody pay for something that's, one, not on their property, but 2, getting taxed on top of it to pay for other street improvements.
And that's why
we're here.
That's why we work with WRCOG to get them a credit for those improvements, because that is part of the TUMF program. Warren Road is.
Sure. So, I think that it's, my perspective, I think we need to just move forward with it, because we need to reduce cost to get people to build if we want to. This is going to go later to a later discussion we're going to have on a later agenda item, but I think that we need to look from a council perspective. Do we want to encourage growth of our city? Do we want to encourage development of our city? Or do we want to be like the state of California and push everybody out? So I'm in favor of that, of us helping them, because I look at what's the net benefit to the city even if the city were to help provide some of the funding for the infrastructure, the net benefit, there's going to be a net gain to the city in the long run with future sales tax revenue coming in. And personally, I think we need to encourage that.
So Nelson, have we looked into being reimbursed by any stormwater grants that are available? Like the Prop 68 stormwater grants that would allow, especially since you have a standing water situation? And
Well, that standing water situation was created by previous city design.
yeah, but the point of it is, we have it, and if we're going to do stormwater improvements,
Yeah, the
there
city
is an
council has been
opportunity.
very clear in their desire for us to pursue all possible city grants. We're always on the lookout.
Well, the Prop 68,
Drainage is, primarily within the area of the engineering department, and I'm sure that they're looking at every possibility. A key component of that is having a master plan in effect, and the city is currently updating that master plan to better reflect conditions here.
so they'll pay for master plans as well. So maybe we need to look into trying to get reimbursed for some of this stuff.
But I'd like to point out too that last year, I fought for and the city was awarded $500,000 for the Seattle Basin, which is upstream from this, which I think is going to be a
Right.
benefit
Right.
eventually to this once that gets utilized.
We had a meeting today with all of the affected property owners on the Seattle Basin, so hopefully we'll be able to bring something forward to you in the next few months regarding that.
Sooner than not later.
Well, and notwithstanding this particular project, but that eventually will have to increase to all of Warren Road, eventually to tie-in, and I think we need to look at those other funding opportunities that would help fund this item. So,
We're certainly working to be aware of every opportunity.
Rusty, do you have anything to say?
Because we'll cut you off.
Yeah, well, poor guy. No, probably.
No, I don't have any specific questions. But I do concur with the sentiment that Michael was advocating, that we appreciate the fact that they're expanding the business and that they're going to have bigger opportunity for bigger inventory, which means better sales potential and hiring more employees in their workforce, so that anything that we can do to help facilitate that is within reason and within legal limitations, we should be doing.
Okay. Okay. Any more discussion? All right.
We do need direction, and before you give direction, I just want to make abundantly clear that the direction would be to do a reimbursement and fee deferral agreement with the owner. The reimbursement would be in the amount of $120,000. That would be a general fund expenditure. I think Nelson and I talked about it and feel that it is legal in this case because it was probably a city cost to begin with. Should have been a CIP project. So you're on stable ground there, but it will be $120,000. It's not in your existing budget. And then there will be a deferral of the payment of development impact fees beyond C of O in this case, without a credit or lien agreement, the credit being the payment that we're going to make, and we'll have to work with the property owner to see if there's some netting out or how that works. But the agreement will come back to you on your regular agenda. And if you're good with that, then I think we know where to go.
Where does WRCOG and the credits come in, TUMF credits?
WRCOG is separate. They're offering a TUMF credit agreement, so there'll be WRCOG has its own form
Right.
that it likes to use for those. So that will be a piece. It'll just be separate than what the direction you're giving us tonight.
Okay, and their agreement will be directly with the property owner or go through us?
It will be with the property owner, but I think the city is the recipient or the payee of those, probably has to be a party to the agreement also.
My understanding, I have the agreement, and we'll be working on that TUMF agreement in parallel with this. My understanding is you will need to approve that TUMF agreement, and then we'll submit it to WRCOG. So we're going to do that just as quickly as we can.
Well, several months ago,
But it's a
we
separate,
approved,
it's a separate piece of this, of what we're doing here.
several months ago, we approved that WRCOG will handle the TUMP program directly, and we won't be involved in that.
Well,
But it's still.
they collect the money
But it's
now,
still the agreement.
but the agreement has to come through the city.
Right.
The other thing I want to add too, Mayor, is that the specifications, the specific items that are within that agreement will obviously have to come back to council, and we'll be sure to convey all of the items that are in that agreement, similar to the presentation that Nelson did tonight.
Then I make that motion, whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm not quite clear myself.
Provide staff with direction.
Yeah, we're providing direction and,
You're
Yeah.
giving us direction to draft a reimbursement and fee deferral agreement.
yes, that, I make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Woo-hoo. And that's approved 4-0. Thank you, Councilman.
Very good. And then we want Audi,
You're very welcome.
Ferrari.
No, Dodge, other.
No, he wants.
I would love for you to bring in an Audi dealer.
He drives an Audi and he has to go out of town. So,
Okay, this is the we are adjourning the work study.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm just talking.
I know you are. I'm just going to talk over you. There being no further items, we'll adjourn the work study session. Now you can talk. Thank you. No problem. All right.